Yep, joining us this evening as they jump on here, we have Rosa Diaz Avery. She is the assistant principal at Talmadge Middle School, and Maria Nunez Morales, who is one of our instructional assistants at Talmadge Middle School, to update the board on the progress of the District Equity Committee. So welcome, Rosa and Maria.
Oh, all right.
Just give us a second. We'll have the presentation up. Here we go.
All right, thank you. Good evening. My name is Maria Nunez Morales. I'm an instructional assistant at Talmadge Middle School. I'm a member of our district-wide equity committee and the TMS equity team. Before Rosa and I give the update on the equity committee, I believe it is important for you all to hear my perspective as an alumni and staff of color. I graduated Central in 2014. I have a year working as a classified staff in the district. I have sat in these classrooms as a student and now as a staff member. Back when I was a student, I looked up at my educators, my teachers, and I realized I did not look like them. None looked like me. In elementary, I started off with having a dual language education. My teachers are Hispanic, Latino. I felt comfortable because I was still being taught my mother tongue. I was reading, writing, speaking in Spanish and English. My culture was being recognized and acknowledged by my educators, even if their lighter skin complexion didn't match my own. I felt like I can still belong, fit in. In middle school and high school, dual emergent didn't continue. I entered middle and high school where all my teachers were predominantly white, and the main focus was learning to write and read fluently in English. I don't understand why my language was interrupted, my first language. Schools are not meant to be are not only meant to be a safe place to educate and to work, but understand students and staff backgrounds. There's no greater feeling than having to be understood and feeling like you belong. Now, as a staff member, this is what I see. I see that I can make connections to our students of color. Students appreciate our efforts and understanding. When a student finds out you speak the same language as them, they're surprised and excited. They are even more impressed that you can read and write in Spanish. Having a dual language education is beneficial for our students in the long run by it being able to help others. Bilingualism is to be proud of, to acquire understanding and appreciation of other cultures. I'm in this committee to work on the importance of building and maintaining cultural competency, bringing awareness on how we can help our students, and that there is no shame in speaking two languages.
Emily, I'm going to have you go forward 2 slides for me as Rosa presents.
So I'm just going to go ahead and get started because I know we're pressed for time. So I have an outsider's perspective compared to Maria's. I moved my family here 6 years ago in order to take on the role of assistant principal at Talmadge Middle School. I came from a diverse school district in California that had equity in action. Equity is doable. Equity makes for a more welcome, efficient, and effective learning and working environment for the whole community. As a district, we need to create a plan for the intentional hiring, retention, and support of staff of color. We have a minority student population that is 45% students of color. We need more staff of color who represent our students, our student population, and can be role models to them. We have made inroads with the Bilingual Scholars Program. However, we are still missing out on a large pool of talent. Currently, I am the only female, bilingual, and bicultural administrator of color at Central School District 13J. We need to do more. I have 3 multiracial children in this district, and I'm deeply invested in the work of the District Equity Committee is doing. I'm here to help make sure that our students and staff of every background can feel welcome and be both supported and challenged to achieve their best in an equitable environment. We have started this journey and we must continue forging ahead. Thank you for listening to Maria and myself. Now we will move on to our District Equity Committee update.
All right, so for our celebrations and barrier bursting events at Monmouth Elementary, their equity team participated in an interactive activity about privilege. They had a list of 25 privileges. Groups had to purchase privileges with a given amount of money, and the objective of the activity was to acknowledge privilege and provide opportunity to reflect the experience of having or not having privilege. At Independence Elementary, their equity team had their first official meeting on April 12th. They had 12 members show up. They established norms, talked about brave space, safe space, and the next meeting they plan on address specific issues regarding IES. Next slide, please. Thank you. At Central High School, Lori and Brooks put in a request for Black Lives Matter posters for the high school. They were printed out, received on the day of the verdict. They have been posted all over this high school, and students were very excited in seeing them and hope that these posters help engage conversations. At Talmadge Middle School, they have included hiring interview questions related to equity for science hiring. Some of the questions were, what does equity mean to you? What are your experiences with equity? And they will be using those same interview questions for our health and PE interview. The goal is to have these questions related to equity as part of all interview questions district-wide. At the district office, Britta, Christina, and Amanda had conversations with our district office staff and transportation staff about forming an equity team. They borrowed Sterling's and Tony's presentation from IES.
Let me unmute myself. On May 25th, there will be a George Floyd commemoration on Main Street Park Amphitheater at 6:30 p.m. 5 individuals have been invited to speak. Student Dominic Graves, CHS Black Panther Student Union President, Esmeralda Amezcua, CHS Administrative Assistant, Michael Walker, MES teacher, myself, and Jennifer Gubisar, Superintendent. Next slide, please. Central District and Western Oregon University have partnered up to offer professional learning training on anti-racism for members on the District Equity Committee and Building Equity team members. The goal is that those trained will train those in their buildings. The course will feature keynote speakers who are premier voices in contemporary conversations on anti-racist teaching. Educators will emerge with tools for implementation in the 2021-2022 school year. This virtual professional learning opportunity will take place on June 23rd and August 16th through 20th. Dr. Benita Love is scheduled to speak on June 23rd. She is an award-winning author. Her writing, research, teaching, and educational advocacy work meet at the intersection of education reform, anti-racism, carceral studies, evolution, and Black joy. Next slide.
Is there any questions?
Emily, before you do, there's a chat box on there. Can you get that removed for us, please? Thank you.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment, of course. I'm so happy to hear both of your voices. Maria, I don't think I know you personally, but I've seen you around, and I think that that's awesome to have you back in the halls that you were a student at. I too was a Talmadge student, and all through 13J, I was a student, and that's what made me want to be board members, to give a voice to our part of the community that hasn't really. When we had a voice, but we haven't had a Latino voice since I think it was 1989. And so I'm happy to be that part, and I'm so happy to see Ms. Diaz as well in Talmadge. Specifically, she came directly from someplace to be that person as an administrator, and that makes me proud, not only of our school district, but of her and the rest of the Latino culture. And yeah, we are 45% Latino. So we need more voices. And as Dr. Cabista mentioned earlier, the steps that we're taking to bring more people that, as you say, look like us. I like that term. I have another part of that minority and being handicapped as well. So I mean, I get it. But I appreciate it. And I know that a lot of our community appreciates that as well as I do. Thank you so much for that presentation. And I'm looking forward to seeing more Latinos come into our workforce. As Cecilia was talking earlier about bringing more into her department. I think there's plenty of departments that we can be more represented, as well as anyone of color. And I'm looking forward to that. Thank you so much.
Any other questions or comments?
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you both. Please let the equity.
One more question. Sorry. So we had those kids from ACES earlier in the student leadership. Do we have anything like that in Talmadge that's approaching the Latino community at all, or like a separate leadership group in Talmadge?
Not yet, but that's our goal.
That's
We just started our equity team, and that's one of our areas of focus of bringing in our student voices.
That's awesome. My son goes to Talmadge, and so I've seen my aunt is an IA there, and she's bilingual as well, and so I love seeing her interact with all the Latino kids there, and there's bright kids everywhere, and I'm looking forward to seeing that group shine in there.
Thank you, Maria. Rosa, keep up the great work. Really appreciate you coming tonight. Have a good night. Have a great rest of the week.